taking face value what we read in the Mishnah, no difference aside from Megillah reading and Mishloach Matanat Le'Avyonim, the gifts of the poor. Those are the only two differences. So he says, look, that means clearly drinking parties and joy are totally the same both months. No difference. According to that straight read of the Mishnah. And then ultimately, this is what leads to his conclusion, which is really fascinating language. And therefore, the halacha, the practice, is that we do not need to be stringent. He uses the language of stringency in order to make drinking parties and joyousness, right? That meaning that one who is stringent in this matter is someone who engages in drinking parties on the 14th of Adar. That is someone who is stringent. Right. Someone who is lenient in this matter says we don't need to do anything, which is an interesting description of stringency in this matter. And it also seems to imply that you don't. Basically, he is advocating that the bottom line halacha is you don't need to do anything on 14 Adar Rishon.
The only thing that's okay, so
you don't need to do anything out of the normal. Don't fast, don't eulogize. Aside from that, live your life. It's normal. That the practices you do in the second one, you should also at the outset strive to do them even in the first Adar. And then that's what leads them to say V'yesh, and there are some shenogin lasosimei mishta b'simcha ba'ar ba'asar chamisha shel Adar Rishon. And there's some who say that are argue that actually he's not even saying they're arguing, and he also doesn't use the language of being machmir. He just says this is how they're accustomed. This is what they do, which is also also a fascinating language because it gets us out of the strict legalistic language of stringency requirements. It's just sort of like a little bit adjacent, which is saying this is what they do. This is their practice. He knows, he's writing, and he knows of people in his time that are doing this. On 14 Adar Rishon, they're having their drinking parties.
So imagine the culpability of a judge saying, no, you have to do it.
Right. So he said,
another month.
Right. He's saying, I know of these people. I know they do this. This is their practice. Ultimately, when it really comes down to it, what is the legalistic framework for this? I don't and by the way, he could have just simply said, he didn't even have to use the word lachmir. He could have just said, he could have simply said, we don't need to do this. It's fascinating he's using the language, we don't need to be stringent to do this. So he thinks that this is maybe people who want to really maximally get the most out of 14 Adar Rishon, that they are going above and beyond. He doesn't believe that that's sort of the baseline practice that everybody should be doing.